Our next episode for Star Trek The Next Generation is The Most Toys. It's episode number 7, and it originally aired on May 12th, 1990. It was written by Sherry Goodharts and directed by Timothy Bond. Now, as the episode begins, Data shuttles Hytridium from a trader ship to the Enterprise, which needs this unstable substance to cure the poisoned water supply of a distant colony. Now, just before the third and final trip, the crew of the trader's ship stuns Data and removes him from the shuttle. The shuttle then explodes as it heads back to the Enterprise. Now, since Picard and the rest of the crew believe that Data has been destroyed, the Enterprise leaves for the colony. Data, meanwhile, wakes up in the treasure room of the trader ship, and the trader's name is Kivas Fajo, and he enters with his assistant, and Fajo explains that he is a collector of one-of-a-kind objects, and he arranged the sale of the Hytridium to capture Data. Now, meanwhile, the Enterprise arrives at the colony and delivers the Hytridium to the water supply, but sensors detect a concentrated area of poisoning. Now, suspicious, Picard orders an away team to investigate, and they find that someone has engineered the contamination. Now, back on the ship, the senior officers deduce that Fajo created the problem to kidnap Data. The Enterprise doubles back to find Fajo, and after Data refuses to cooperate with his demands, Fajo threatens to kill his assistant, which convinces the assistant to help Data escape and leave with him. Now, during the escape, Fajo kills the assistant and tells Data to get back to the treasure room where he will kill someone else. Fajo believes Data will not harm him because of Data's fundamental respect for living beings, and Data considers the alternative and decides that Fajo must die. But just as he begins to fire a disruptor, the Enterprise beams him up, and security then arrests Fajo and confiscates all his stolen treasures. And that's the end of the episode. Now, there are a couple of noteworthy things about this episode. First of all, among the many mementos that Kivas Fajo has in his collection, one of them is a Mickey Mantle baseball card. And Michael Piller was a big baseball fan, so that was why one of the collector's items was that. So I thought that was pretty neat, me being a baseball fan as well. An even bigger part of this episode is just talking about the casting of Kivas Fajo. Originally, the actor who was going to play him was David Rappaport, and David was a guy that you may have seen in a movie that was called Time Bandits. And David was a little person, so they had to do a little bit of tricks with how they were going to make this interpretation of Kivas Fajo look intimidating, because he was supposed to, even though he was a little person in real life, Kivas Fajo had to be somebody who was kind of big and, menacing in some way. So one of the techniques they were going to use is even create a shuttlecraft that was actually much smaller, so that it made Kivas Fajo look a lot bigger. But after, I believe it was just a couple days of shooting, they got a call, the director Timothy Bond got a call, that David was in intensive care. And it turns out that during the production, David was actually found in his car with a tube running in from the exhaust, and he had attempted suicide. And so obviously they had to recast him rather quickly, and unfortunately when this episode aired, David did later shoot himself, unfortunately. So that kind of was a letdown for the rest of the season because of that incident. But they brought in Saul Rubinek to replace him as Kivas Fajo, which was an entirely different interpretation, and fortunately they did not build these smaller shuttlecraft or any of the sets to make him look bigger, because Saul Rubinek was a larger person, and his take on the character was completely different. And it's a good interpretation, but just interesting to see what it would have been like to see David Rappaport's version on that. Incidentally, if you own the Blu-ray version of Season 3 of TNG, apparently there is a small segment where you can actually see some footage of David Rappaport as Kivas Fajo. I have not looked at that yet, but I do own the Blu-ray, so I'll be watching that very shortly. So If you don't have the Blu-ray, I encourage you to check that out, because there's some interesting things on there. So anyway, Saul Rubinek took over, and Saul's been in a number of different movies and TV shows. I remember Saul Rubinek from the movie Unforgiven in 1992. If you've seen that, he has a pretty good scene there with Gene Hackman, and I thought he did a great job there. And Hackman certainly looks pretty menacing, but Saul shows that he can play a wide range of characters. In Unforgiven, he was kind of a meek fellow. In this one, he's kind of a twisted guy, and a pretty sick one at that. So this episode had some controversy in it. Another one about the actual script is the fact that Data apparently has decided to kill for the very first time. He says in the episode he cannot allow this to continue, with Kivas Fajo killing off people. So actually, while he's being beamed up, he's about to shoot a phaser. And one of the lines, when he's questioned about this when he returns to the Enterprise, is, well, they say, Data, we detected that a phaser went off. And Data said, well, perhaps it was something that occurred during the beaming. So was Data telling a lie there? That's a good question. I'll leave that up to you. Comment below what you think about that. Was Data lying there, and was it ethical for Data to kill in that instance? Some interesting questions there. So that is the most toys as far as the episode in general. I thought it was a good one, and one that definitely brings a lot of controversy, both in the making of it and the actual episode itself. So thanks for listening, guys, and I will talk to you next time.